Welcome back to a new episode of Miss Max Academy. In this episode, we are going to learn how to create a scatter plot. Scatter plots are used to understand the relationship or association between two variables. Let's take a minute and read the prompt. The number of hours since sunrise and the water level at the coast of Tasmania, in meters above sea level, was measured for several days. Okay? And let's take a moment and just make sure we can read this table here. On the first day that the measurement was made, right here, on the first day the measurement was made, the measurement was made 3 hours after sunrise, and the height of the ocean in meters above sea level was negative 0.4. Well, what does that mean? It actually means the water was below sea level. So on day one, the water was measured below sea level, and it was measured 3 hours after sunrise. On day two, the water level was measured 2 hours after sunrise, and the water level was 0.1 meters above sea level. On day three, the water level was measured 1 hour after sunrise, and the water level was 0.2 meters above sea level. On day four, the water level was measured 0 hours after sunrise. Well, what does that mean? It means it was measured at sunrise, and the water level was 0.5 meters above sea level. At day five, the water level was measured 2.5 hours after sunrise, and the water level was negative 0.3 meters above sea level. Well, what does that mean? It means it was below sea level. Negative 0.3 means the water level was below, or 0.3 meters below sea level. And on day six, the water level was measured 3.5 hours after sunrise, and the water level at that time was negative 0.5, which again means it was 0.5 meters below sea level. Okay, so when we look at a scatter plot, we need to recognize that the variable on the horizontal axis, in this case our variable on the horizontal axis is hours, is called the predictor or independent variable. And the variable on the vertical axis is called the response variable or the dependent variable. In statistics, we like to say that X predicts Y, or Y depends on X. That's really how you learned it in Algebra 1. Y depends on X. But in statistics, we're interested in which one is the predictor and which one is the response, right? So we'd like to say X predicts Y, but either statement is correct. So again, I would just like to say that the variable on the horizontal axis is called the predictor and is the independent variable. And the variable on the vertical axis is the response variable or the dependent variable. Okay? So let's take a minute and let's plot this information. First of all, in this particular case, the number of days is great information. However, it doesn't need to be plotted on this graph. We're just interested in number of hours after sunlight and water level in meters above sea level. Okay, so we're not really looking at this information right here in order to create the scatter plot. We're just going to look at hours, and hours is our predictor. That's our X variable. And we're going to look at height, and that is our response or Y variable. Okay, so let's take a minute and let's plot these points. I'm actually going to just kind of circle them so we know which ones go together. Okay, so it looks like 3 hours after sunrise, the height of the water was 0.4 meters below sea level. So at 3 hours, we were 0.4 meters below sea level. Okay, so we go over 3 and down to negative 0.4. So right here, this line represents sea level. Anything below this line would be below sea level. Anything above this line would be considered above sea level. Okay. Reading along, second ordered pair, I just plotted that one. Second ordered pair, 2 hours after sunrise. The height of the water was 0.1 meters above sea level. All right, so at 2 hours, we were 0.1. Oh, thank you. I took care of this ordered pair. At 1 hour after sunrise, 1 hour, we were 0.2 meters above sea level. That's this ordered pair. At 0 hours after sunrise. So what does that mean? That means at sunrise. No hours have gone by. So at sunrise, the height of the water was 0.5 meters above sea level. So that would be 0, 0.5, which would be right here. 2.5 hours after sunrise, the water level was negative 0.3 meters above sea level. Again, that just means it's below sea level. So at 2.5, we were below sea level. 2.5, and we were below 0.3 meters. At 3.5 hours after sunrise, we were below 0.5 meters. So at 3.5 hours, 0.5 meters. So again, I tried to color code this a little bit. Anything above sea level, I created a point in blue. Anything below, a point in red. And what we just did here is we constructed a scatter plot. In the real world, when we collect data, the data generally doesn't fall exactly on a line. It falls generally in scatter that we could, find the line of best fit for. So tune in again next time for an episode of Miss Mac's Academy.